Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
Cook Inlet Tug and Barge is a marine transportation company specializing in harbor services with a primary marketing focus on the Port of Anchorage, providing their customers with quality-based service specifically tailored to their needs.
The National Weather Service.
Hello, and thanks for joining us for Friday's show. Yesterday, we had the first of a couple of fronts moving into the interior. See the band of clouds moving eastward, extending back across Norton Sound there, and then another mass of moisture up here dropping into the northwest coast. Otherwise, pretty nice here across the southern areas, all the way into the Panhandle. This area of clouds not quite reaching the coast yesterday, but actually a little bit closer in today. And then some moisture, light snow, fog, IFR, drizzle, kind of a mixture going on up there. And clear skies out over the Bering Sea toward the Pribilofs. And that continued today. There were some scattered areas of low clouds, maybe some fog, but nothing very significant at all. Just those gusty north winds up to 35 miles an hour at St. George Island, a little less at St. Paul, but still pretty sunny there. And some breaks down across the eastern Aleutians, but cloudy skies from Unalaska across the Alaska Peninsula. Steady rain here, Kodiak Island, east winds, fog, and those gusts up to about 35 miles an hour at the state airport there, and that extending across to the peninsula to places like Chignik and Pilot Point, but just to the north drying out, but still quite windy. King Salmon winds gust to 40 miles an hour. And as the Susitna Valley warmed up today, the 30 to 40 mile an hour winds blowing through Turning an Arm overnight and into this morning extended, took a turn to the north and blew across West Anchorage, Palmer, and other areas. And also over the Copper River Basin, seeing some southerly winds this afternoon up to 25 miles an hour from Gulkana on up into Delta with temperatures near 70. So pretty high fire dangers there, expected to continue tonight and again into tomorrow. But you'll see today the clouds here that we're trying to get up to the coast. In fact, look pretty close there, but several bands spinning out this low, just dissipating as they rolled on in. And but it is building here along the coast. Rain is just offshore there, and that'll move in this evening and take its time doing so. This moisture up here produced a fair amount of rain, tenth to maybe a third of an inch in an area along the boundary there from just near Bethel. In fact, thunderstorms breaking out there this afternoon from north of Bethel up toward Russian Mission, and as temperatures warmed into the mid-70s out in that area. But some of that getting into the Fairbanks area a little bit. There was a lightning strike just north of the city there in the hills, and then all the way up to Arctic Village, seeing anywhere from a tenth to a third of an inch of rain in the last 24 hours. Lots of cloud cover over the North Slope and the Arctic coastal areas up there, and extending back down into the northern Bering Sea here on the chart. Here's that frontal position, roughly right along this area here, then loses the clouds, becomes quite weak here, but there still is a pretty good contrast from north to south there of temperature along that boundary. But the thunderstorms again late this afternoon breaking out near or just north of the Bethel area and along the entire boundary all the way over to northwest Canada, up to Eagle. Then a band behind that of steady rain falling, and then breaking out here and allowing temperatures to rise back into the 50s over the west-northwest areas. And then anywhere along the Arctic coast, there were reports of drizzle, light snow, fog, but nothing heavy at all. Just areas of some IFR. Lots of sunshine here over the southern part of the state again. Right down about to the coastline until you get into the rain there toward Kodiak. But you can see this moisture not quite up to the coastline, the high pressure holding it off to the west. Northeast winds, light northeast winds continue there out into the southern Bering Sea and across the Aleutians. A lot lighter on the winds today than what you saw yesterday here over the Alaska Peninsula. For tonight, that low creeps its way eastward a little bit, and the front actually just becomes a boundary right through this location here. And look for showers to continue along that from the eastern Brooks Range right on down into the Kuskokwim Delta, Kilbrook Mountain areas, northeast Bristol Bay. Nothing here for south central Alaska. Watching the rain push northward here, possibly some occasional light rain reaching the outer coastal areas all the way across into the southeast coast. Will be a little more widespread, becoming a little heavier here as this front edges its way into the coast there, but staying quite nice. Winds eventually dropping off later tonight there for the Copper River Valley and into Delta, but probably not ending altogether, and then it'll probably maybe pick back up again tomorrow. Same pattern here over south central Alaska, but less wind. It'll probably pick up again, but not quite as strong as what we saw today. The front now creeping eastward there across the southeast coast, so that's going to make for a cloudy day with occasional rain, possible fog out along the coast there, all the way back up to the Kenai Peninsula. Includes Yakutat, Cordova, probably see some rain in Whittier as well, and maybe Valdez, but even all the way across the Kenai Peninsula to about Kenai southward has the best chance of rain. Northern Cook Inlet into the southern Susitna and Matanuska valleys doesn't look like you'll get much at all. Just some scattered showers over the mountainous areas, and again, some of the taller clouds tomorrow may develop into a few thunderstorms here. Again, this boundary now getting pushed back to the west a little bit there, so it looks sunny and quite warm. Now the temperatures be in the mid-70s here up over the eastern interior from about Fairbanks, Tanana on east. Look for highs upper 60s and mid-70s. Cooler, but not too bad out here in the west. Some sunshine breaking out, and probably an increase in the clouds over the Bering Sea maybe here. Still got a pretty dry northerly flow coming off the deltas there, but possibility of some increase in the clouds there. But this frontal boundary quite weak, extending out to an even weaker low pressure area, but strong enough to produce some rain out in that area towards Shimei and Attu. And the outlook for Sunday, that next system that was here on the previous map, tomorrow afternoon is going to ride the jet stream right up to the northeast there, and the low center into this position. That'll swing the front in on Sunday, so a couple of wet, cloudy days coming up for the panhandle there. Winds won't be much of a problem at all. And then shower activity in the afternoon, isolated thunderstorms mostly along the Alaska Range and up into the eastern and central interior there, but that all occurring over the mountainous terrain. A little kind of a more continuous area showers up to the from the Koyukuk Valley on up to the eastern Brooks Range, and look for some clearing on the north slope and about the same type of weather there for the Arctic coast, but winds pretty light, east-northeast, 5 to 15 miles an hour. A little brisk here, get around to Cape Lisburne, Point Hope, taking a turn to the northeast and north, and probably pretty gusty winds, 20, 25 knots through the Bering Strait, but lighter winds down here along the southwest coast. Showers breaking out again, scattered showers over the mountainous areas, northeast Bristol Bay, Alaska Range, but pretty nice, staying dry again for Cook Inlet right up into the southern valley areas. Just some hit and miss showers over the Chugach, Talkeetna areas, and pretty scattered along the coast. Wettest conditions there will be from Yakutat on down to Dixon Entrance. High pressure, light winds leading to considerable low clouds and fog out over the Bering Sea there, but hardly even a gradient at all here over the Aleutians, and that next front out there to the west stays out there. And for temperatures today across the southeast coast, looking at upper 50s to mid 60s there, 60 at Skagway, 58 at Sitka, same thing there at Yakutat, and a 64 at Wrangell. 56 today at Seward, and a 66-degree reading came in from Kenai. About the same up through the Susitna Valley, Gulkana 65 with the gusty winds. 69 at Northway at 4 p.m., 67 at Fairbanks, and then into the cooler clouds and rain area here stands out quite vividly. 45 at Bettles, and then 43 up at Anatuvik, 52 Arctic Village, and Ambler had 50, mid to upper 30s there in the cooler air behind the front out over the northwest coast. Point Lay though up to 30, or Wainwright 37 degrees. Point Lay otherwise was at 31, mid 30s on the east side of the coast up there, and mostly in the 50s to 60s Bethel and Lower Kalskag had 75 today. That was a warm spot in the state before those thunderstorms moved in, cooled it off a little bit there on the north side of Bethel. 52 at Makoriak, about the same here in the Pribilofs, right around 50 degrees. 52 at Adak, otherwise 10 degrees cooler there at Shemya, upper 40s for the eastern Aleutians, 57 at King Cove. For the lows tonight, upper 20s to lower 30s, North Slope Arctic coast, down through the Bering Strait. So some areas still dropping below the freeze point up there, otherwise much milder here near 50 over the Yukon Valley, with 40s prevalent all the way down to the North Gulf Coast, 45 to 50 for the lows for the Panhandle, lower 40s to mid 30s for the Aleutians and the Bering Sea. Highs tomorrow near 40 for the Pribilofs, upper 40s for the Aleutians, mid 50s to mid 60s here, the warmest locations in the Susitna, Matanuska Valley areas, Copper River Basin pretty warm, well into the 70s here. North of the Alaska Range, just about all the Tanana Valley here up across the Yukon, 40-mile country, 76, forecast high at Eagle tomorrow, and mid-30s again on the Arctic coast, but North Slope not too bad, lower 50s to lower 60s. And for flying weather, areas IFR at times and marginal conditions for the Arctic coast. Some of that down across the North Slope, especially early in the day there with that northeast wind banking it up along the Brooks Range on the north side, and then with that frontal boundary weakening, but still areas of marginal VFR here on the west side, but good VFR all through this location. And then IFR sliding up from east side of Kodiak Island right up along the Kenai Peninsula, may or may not slip into western Prince William Sound. Portage, pretty good threat of seeing that. Otherwise, marginal VFR down the coastline for the Panhandle, pretty widespread, as well as from the Bering Strait out into the Bering Sea, brought the marginal conditions right up to St. Paul Island and then southward. Nikolsky, marginal, Unalaska, VFR, IFR for the west side there. And Anatuvik looks marginal at times tomorrow, as does Adigan, which means could be VFR as well at some point in the day. Lake Clark and Merrow, though, VFR from start to finish on Saturday with rainy, same forecast. Windy looking good. Isabel, Mentasta, all VFR. Tanita, VFR. Now for Portage, becoming marginal VFR tonight and tomorrow, holding through tomorrow. IFR possible there on the east entrance. Chilkoot and White becoming marginal and then kind of persisting that way off and on through the day. Freezing levels, cooler air back here, but kind of spreading out with that weakening frontal boundary, a little more well-defined out in this area, but not much of a gradient down here over the Gulf for the Northeast Pacific, just kind of 6,000 to 8,000 feet out there. Very slack thermal gradient out over the Aleutians and the southern Bering, making for a pretty light wind weekend out in that area. Rime icing of the below about 10 to 14,000 feet here along the coast, and this is just areas of possible icing in this area. It won't be solid. If you're outside of this area, you won't have to worry about it at all. And the winds aloft showing the upper high now a little farther to the east there, but that's what's going to pop those temperatures in the mid 70s there over the east side. The cooler upper low back to the west for cooler conditions there. This low now southwest of Kodiak Island, that jet max, that's going to develop and move that next front into the Panhandle on Sunday with more rain there and the eastern North Gulf Coast. For the 9,000 foot winds, good southwest flow, about 20 knots into the Panhandle, lighter and more variable over the interior there, especially along the west coast here along the trough axis. Northwesterlies 20 to 25 knots there from the northern Bering Sea down across the Alaska Peninsula. Light winds, though, under basically high pressure, very weak low here to the west. Could be 25 knot winds with that at 9,000 feet in a narrow band there just east of Shemya. And much the same pattern here at the 3,000 foot level. Northwesterlies at about 20 from St. Matthew Island to Unalaska. Southeasterlies roughly 25 knots here as that due to that frontal boundary. So it'll be a pretty narrow area, 25 knot winds, otherwise 10 to 15 up over the inland areas. And the farther north you go, becoming really light, just 0 to 5 knots there to maybe 10, 15 to 20 for the southeast coast. And turbulence-wise, not a whole lot. Maybe light isolated moderate chop, mostly offshore. Could come up and clip Cordova over to maybe Seward, Seldovia, Homer. Kodiak should be pretty smooth, and Prince of Wales Island or from Port Alexander, Dixon entrance could see some light to isolated moderate chop, again for smaller aircraft, and then a zone there through the Bering Strait across St. Lawrence Island. And this mostly just mechanical turbulence, still a west-northwest flow, so could be a little bumpy, but nothing serious at all there, especially for those areas that could see a lot worse. And the Aleutians, turbulence-free, as well as the Perbolos and much of the Bering Sea. And after hangar flying, I'll be back with the marine forecast.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Harry Keeling, and on behalf of Alaska Public Media and the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation, welcome back to Hangar Flying. Angie Slingluff is our guest this evening, and for those of you who tuned in on May the 30th, we paid tribute to Angie for her dedication to aviation education and young people. May 30th was her last day of employment with the FAA, and pretty soon she's going to be heading down to New Mexico for a new life, but she's promised me that she's going to stay in aviation education. Tonight, we'd like to talk about an event that's happening tomorrow, and we talked about it on Monday, and that's the Palmer Pancake Breakfast, which Dan Billman mentioned starts about 8, and it's going to go up till about 11:30, but at 11:30 something special is going to take place. I'll let Angie talk about that. Welcome, Angie.
Thank you very much, Harry. Well, immediately following the pancake breakfast, we'll shift the tables around and we'll set up stations, and we're going to invite young people to participate in an event called Youth Aviation Adventure. And it is geared to introduce young people to airplanes and airport operations and flight instruments, get a chance to pre-flight an airplane, to go hands-on, go touch and feel and see. It was designed by a couple of guys whose sons needed Boy Scout aviation merit badges. So this particular program meets the qualifications for the Boy Scouts to receive their aviation merit badge. It does most of the qualifications required for Girl Scouts for their aviation interest badge, and it's open to any boy or girl or young person who wants to come take a look-see. And it will follow immediately after the pancake breakfast at the New Horizons Telecom hangar on Palmer Airport at 801 East Cope Industrial Way, Palmer, and we welcome to have everybody come.
Is there a charge?
It is absolutely free.
And how long does it? How long would you expect people to stay?
Well, you
Starts at 11:30?
suggested that the pancake breakfast would go till 11:30, but actually the pancake breakfast will end a little bit earlier than that, so we can change things around. And we'll start the Youth Aviation Adventure event at 11:30, and it will go to about 3:30. Usually it depends on how many young people show up, how long it takes. We set up about 10 stations, and we rotate the young people through them. And a lot of them are hands-on fun activities as well. It's not just talking heads.
Now, does someone have to sign up in advance?
No, they don't have to register in advance. They can if they want to. That way it gives us an idea, especially a scout troop, if they're coming with a number of scouts. They can contact Abby Austin at Aero Alaska, Abby at a-e-r-o.com to register. But they don't have to do that. I recommend they come early. Come early and have pancakes and stay for Youth Aviation Adventure. This year, unfortunately, we will not have Young Eagles flights at this event, but the EAA Chapter 42 will be offering Young Eagles flights the following Saturday at Birchwood Airport.
Oh, good. Well, it sounds like a great program. How many years have you been doing this?
This is probably my 6th or 7th year to do it. And Abby is taking over from me, so this event will continue even after my retirement.
So that's Abby Austin, folks, and let me give you that address again. It's abby at a-e-r-o.com. If you have any questions, you can email her. And how many folks would you expect?
One year when we had the Boy Scouts, we had 84 kids, got 83 of them up in the air.
Wow.
And generally it's been running about 25 or 30, sometimes 40. It's hit or miss. If it's a sunny day, they'll all come. If it's a rainy day, they may stay home. I'm hoping a lot of young people will come because it's a fun event. It's a lot of fun.
It certainly sounds like it. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me cover the facts again. This is tomorrow, June the 7th, at 8 o'clock. Start out with a great pancake breakfast. FAA and all the staff will be there. You can talk to them. There's a lot of good educational information. It's going to take place Saturday morning. Great pancake breakfast, no charge for it, but we will have donation cans out there, and hopefully you'll throw something in it. It's a great opportunity to come out and talk flying and learn some things. And then afterwards, if you've got young people,
ages 10 to 17.
10 to 17, that might be interested in aviation, and even if they're not, bring them out. Maybe you'll spark an interest. I think the program will be one that they will enjoy, and who knows, it may start them down the path to an aviation career. Angie, once again, and I know I thanked you last time you were on the program, thanks for everything you've done for education, aviation education, and for our young people in Alaska. And you have a safe trip down to New Mexico and enjoy your new retirement.
Thank you very much, Harry.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed tonight's program. And if you get a chance, go to AASF at alaska.net, and send me an email. In fact, you can send me an email anytime, and you can suggest people that we can have on the program, and I certainly will try to accommodate it. The other thing the Safety Foundation has started is the Right Stuff Award. If you fly with somebody or you see a mechanic or an ops dispatcher that does something really noteworthy, praiseworthy, let us know. Send me an email. We want to recognize people for doing the right thing and having the right stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, fly safe.
Winds mostly from south or southeast direction tomorrow, 15 to 20 knots, even lighter over the inside waters, except up to the north there at about 25 for small craft advisories. That same pattern will hold through Sunday. And 20-knot winds here along the coast from the south-southeast, but staying light and more easterly up along the north side. 10 to 15 knots here, varying one way or another there through the central and southern inner channels. And moving on to the North Gulf Coast, look for easterly winds at about 15, pretty light here. Barren Islands down across Kodiak Island and on in toward Kamishak Bay. And still coming back up, keep it 20 knots there for the northern inlet. Not as strong as what we saw today. Southwest 15 there for the remainder of Cook Inlet. And Prince William Sound coming up to 20 knots at times, varying directions there, mostly southwest in some areas. That same pattern will hold through Sunday with those afternoon sea breeze winds at about 20 knots, but light and variable winds. The pattern shifting a little bit here at the surface. High pressure ridge right over this area, so that should make for a really laid down wind day on Sunday there from Middleton Island all the way down across Kodiak Island. Barely a breeze there in Shelikof Strait, but about 15 knots as you get up into Cook Inlet from Kamishak Bay. Bristol Bay, light variable winds tomorrow and light northeasterlies for all of the Alaska Peninsula. And then for Sunday, turning northwest, could see some 20-knot winds here coming into the, especially the western Bristol Bay area. Otherwise, down the peninsula, really light northwesterlies at about 10 and pretty light westerlies there from Sitkinak down to the southwest. For the eastern Aleutians, north-northwest at about 15 tomorrow. Becoming even lighter as you get out toward Adak and Atka, and then they take a turn to the west but stay quite light out here along the entire chain. And light variable winds on Sunday here over the western areas, northeast at about 15, maybe across Kiskam, Chitka Islands, but very light easterlies here for the central Aleutians, and really light east-northeast winds for the Fox Islands as well, only at about 10 knots, seas running 4 to 5 or maybe 6 feet on average. For the St. Lawrence Island area, 20-knot winds at times or less there down to Nunivak Island. South of Nunivak Island, more of a 15 to 20-knot wind, and 15 for the Pribilofs, light winds to the northern Bering Sea. For Sunday, still same direction here, 15 knots or 10 to 15 knots all the way back up to St. Lawrence Island. This will be the breeziest area here. Less wind back out to the west. You can see only 10 knots for the Pribilofs and on up into the northern Bering. For the Arctic coast, east side, northeasterlies, 15 to 20 knots. Toward the central coast, only at about 10 knots, maybe 15 on the west side. And highest here around those capes, Cape Lisburne on down to the Bering Strait around Wales. And could be a little brisker here with some small craft advisories possible there in that zone. 20 knots here to the south, back up the coast, 10 to 15 knot northeasterlies. That actually extends all the way over to the east side, a little tighter gradient here, so 15, maybe 20 knots, but nothing too serious at all. For tonight, rain finally makes it in across the southeast coast starting this evening, gradually working eastward and northward. Light rain possible after midnight or on toward morning here for the North Gulf coastal areas. Stays wet down across Kodiak, stays cloudy for the Alaska Peninsula, areas of fog over the Bering Sea. This frontal boundary, isolated thunderstorms this evening, or maybe something a little more than isolated, but generally back along this area here. Either side, though, pretty fair, and then that starts to pull back to the west tomorrow. So a really sunny, warm day here over the interior valleys, really from Copper River Basin up across into the Yukon there. Should be into the mid-70s. Rain for the Panhandle and North Gulf coastal areas. And then this very weak low only kicking off some showers over the southwest mountains, Kilbrook Range, maybe the Kuskokwums and areas like that. Could be an isolated thunderstorm there as well. Clearing out, staying fair back here with north winds. Again, areas of fog, possibly getting socked in from Shishmaref down to around Tin City. St. Lawrence Island on the north side. Better conditions to the south. South side of the eastern Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula looking really good in areas of low clouds and fog and drizzle, much like you've seen for the last several days up there on the Arctic coast. That'll continue through Sunday as well. Look for afternoon mountainous showers here, some of which any one could become a thunderstorm and then drift off into the valleys with basic area low pressure there over the Yukon area, but still quite warm on the temperatures. Stays wet over the southeast coast. Light winds, low clouds, areas of fog for the Bering Sea. Have a great weekend.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.